Steven.
Kevin.
David.
With our powers combined, we are the
Brothers
Board.
By the power of podcasting,
We have the power.
Welcome to the Brothers Born podcast. We're back together, three of us.
All three.
Brothers three of the BBP.
Don't say that. I don't know why you keep insisting on this BBP thing.
This is easy, dude. Everything else is abbreviated.
Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's good.
Today, last time we were together, we covered the superhero apocalypse, which was really interesting. We had our guest Jaron. That was really great. And today there's a narrative that we've been building, and it led to the weather apocalypse. And I want to get to the narrative, but before we get into that, I think we should spend the bulk of it just talking about what a weather apocalypse might be.
Yeah. Well, before you know that, we did forget to mention last time when we talked about superhero apocalypse, like we kind of had this thing where we talk about how likely is it to occur. We didn't do that.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say at the superhero apocalypse, it is probably 100% not very likely to occur.
Big goose egg there for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But it's still kind of interesting thing to think about. But the weather apocalypse, of all the ones we've covered thus far, I think this one probably has the most potential of happening.
Yeah. Agreed.
Dude.
Agreed.
Weather apocalypse happens all throughout history, man. Ice Age.
Oh yeah. It's happened
That's
before.
true.
It's
Yeah,
true.
so this one actually has happened. So 100%
I didn't need to consider that. Huh.
So would we consider like a volcano eruption part of it a weather apocalypse?
I'm gonna say yeah. Man, well, if we're
I
going
feel
based off of what movies
You could
do,
make it weather/natural disaster.
there we go. I think
that's true.
Let's do
Because
that.
I feel like, I mean, for one, like when I was living in Hawaii, like volcano activity was part of the weather report. So, I think it counts.
I think I like the idea. This is weather/natural disaster. So other than a volcano, I can't think of any other natural disasters.
Earthquake, hurricane.
Oh, earthquake. Well, hurricanes weather, which I live in Florida, and that hurricane is a very big deal down here. Every year, we have to get prepped for hurricane season. It's actually right now.
I assure you, if a hurricane happened where I live, it would be a very big deal.
Oh yeah, for sure, in the desert like that. But the hurricane right now, I have special shutters I have to put on my windows if it looks like a storm's going to come. I've never actually had to do it, but
when I did live in Hawaii, every year we'd always be worried about tsunamis.
Oh, yeah.
And people would always freak out, like, "Oh, the tsunami's coming!" People freak out. They buy everything at the store and stuff, and then it never happened. So
we had a tornado warning the other day here. I was in Target, and they made everyone in Target go to the stock room because the tornado siren started going off in town.
Really
interesting.
Interesting.
It didn't touch down though, but
okay. Well, with that said,
a couple tornadoes lately.
With this, when we start off with that, we'll talk about some more, I don't want to say extreme, but weather conditions we've actually have seen and been through. Not that we have very many. Steven said there's hurricane action going on. They had a little tornado action. We don't really get much of that in El Paso. We do get sandstorms sometimes, and those can be pretty crazy.
Yes, those are pretty crazy. Grapes of Wrath over there, Dust Bowl.
Yeah, it's pretty. Sometimes you drive, you can't see like at all because all the sand and dust that are in your way. So that would be pretty. If you had like an extreme sandstorm, like not like a regular one, but at extreme level, that could be very problematic. Sand gets it. As Anakin Skywalker once said, sand gets in everything. So it gets everywhere.
Sand. And
That's
I've
true.
had some similar situation here when it's real bad rain and like when it's getting ready for a hurricane, I can't see when I'm driving because of the water. It's pretty wild sometimes. And you got tornadoes. I remember one time when I was
snowstorms like that. Sometimes.
Oh yeah, snowstorms.
Yeah,
Crazy.
We lived in California. I remember a big earthquake we had in 1989. It was
That's when I was born.
It was just a month or two before you were born, I think.
Mom used to joke that the hurricane brought me into this world. Not the hurricane, the earthquake brought me
earthquake.
into this world.
Do you remember that when that happened? We were like in the house playing Nintendo, and what we thought somebody was like throwing a ball at our wall or something.
Yeah, man. And then I ran under the table and grabbed the cat, but I didn't think I worried about you at all. I just ran under the table. Where's the cat? I got the cat, got under that table. It's a very thin table. Wouldn't have really helped anything.
No, but it made you feel safe, and that's what's important.
Yeah. I remember when I was little, we were all at Cedar Point, and I think you guys were in line for the Mantis at the time, which is now called the Rougarou. And wasn't there like 3 funnel clouds above you or something like that?
Yeah, those were water spouts, though. They weren't tornadoes. They were water spouts.
It was cool, though.
Still,
it was pretty cool. I'll give it that. I think like this one's kind of a little bit hard to go by what we normally do, because we used to talk about how survivable is it, how like how the apocalypse, whatever. But I think history has shown a weather event is very survivable. So when we're talking about a weather apocalypse, we're talking about like weather at an apocalyptic level. So like what was
Day
that
After
movie?
Tomorrow?
Yeah, Day After Tomorrow, or something along those lines. It had to be pretty extreme to be really an apocalyptic event. Not to say that it couldn't happen. Obviously it could, but I mean, I'm pretty sure people at Pompeii did not think it was just like a chill time when
This one is in the Bible, though, man. It talks about how weather is going to get really bad.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I guess it's not just weather, but this one's really could happen.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and it comes in so many different ways. There's no real safe place on this earth that I'm aware of. There's in some places you got snow, some places you got dust, some places you got hurricanes. And I lived in Australia for a while; they had forest fires, and California has the same thing. There's always
Australia. Don't they have like tornadoes with spiders inside of them? Like Sharknado.
Yeah,
but
totally.
With spiders?
That's definitely
because Sharknado is the thing we forgot to mention too. I feel like Australia would have Spider-Nado.
So
and Sharknado, because you have sharks down there too.
So what we're saying is, with the weather apocalypse, Sharknado could potentially be part of this.
Yes, and Spider-Nado.
And Spider-Nado, yes,
and
of course.
Gatornado.
Yeah, chomp.
Hurricator instead of hurricane.
Hurricator. You can't really get that with other ones other than tornadoes, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I read this book one time where it was just written by Max Brooks, who did the zombie World War Z.
Yeah.
So he wrote a book. It was called De-Evolution, which was pretty good. And this volcano erupts, and because of the catastrophe of this volcano erupting, there's a family of Sasquatches that are like running from this volcano, and so they're starting to say like starve or whatever, and they develop a taste for human, and they've come across this like small like village that's like in the forest area, and so the whole book is like these people in this village trying to survive the Sasquatches that are like coming into their little village and eating them because of the volcano. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different. I don't want to make this a boring episode, but I feel like if we talk about how to prepare, this is no longer like a fun podcast and more like all right, everyone, this is how you prepare for a natural event, and like it's like something I don't know. So like, how do you prepare for
Well, I live in Texas, so obviously to prepare, I have to have like a whole like room full of AR-15s, because that's what we do. That's what we do here.
Florida is very similar in that regard, but
yes, it is.
Where I live in Ohio is like that too, man.
Because you live in the country, that's right. So there's a good cool point though. So I like, again, I don't want to get political, but climate change.
All I know is your drums look like they're wearing a hat, and it's freaking me out. Like it's a drum snowman with a hat on it right now. Like put a carrot on his nose or something. I don't know.
It's a drumstick instead of a carrot. So, a lot of
Kevin doesn't look like it.
It's
like a drum snowman.
A lot of world leaders use things like climate change in their campaign when they're on the
You give it a stick, maybe it'll come to life, kind of like you gave Frosty. What do you got?
Okay. Man, dude, you're like an old man who like not paying attention to what's going on around him.
That's pretty sweet.
Go ahead.
I wish people could see. It does. That's funny. Hold on a second.
All right. No, don't take it away. Watch out. We might have a drumstick robot apocalypse here in a second. Or that might not look much better.
Looks kind of like a Dalek now.
All right. Well, anyway, so
I
climate
hope you didn't
change is
start the next apocalypse by doing that.
the snowman apocalypse.
No,
No.
just inanimate.
There
objects
should be a
coming to life
snowman
by
apocalypse.
magical
We're adding that
force.
to the list. Wasn't that a movie where like a snowman comes to life and start like killing people? I'm pretty
It's
sure it
called
is.
Frosty the Snowman.
I think it's called
I don't
Jack
think he
Frost
killed
or something.
people, though.
Something like
Frost.
Why are you guys distracting? What were you talking about? Change the
You know,
subject.
that's a heck of a lot more interesting than what I was saying. So I like it. I was just gonna say, a lot of world leaders use climate change as a way to like boost their
I
campaign.
think you're going to do a 9-stroke roll on your butt in a second.
I see what David's doing. Every time I broach a topic that could be somewhat controversial, he's like, "I'll just bring it back so we don't go there."
Yeah,
So I'll take this as I'll take that as
I
a
thought
sign.
the 9-stroke roll comment would have been funny, but go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's funny. No, I just think so it's not just the weather we're talking about, but it could these sorts of things could alter who becomes world leaders, and maybe that bring it into some of the political intrigue into this type of apocalypse as well.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess preparation is key, and everyone should have like some sort of food storage for sure. 72-hour kits, FM radios, if you're into it, ham radios, those kinds of things to kind of just get yourself so you don't have so you can safely be off the grid. And I think that's applicable to any one of these, really. Having not the AR-15 arsenal of AR-15s, but just like emergency preparedness supplies, flare guns, flashlights, radios, those kinds of things are relevant no matter which one of these this is.
That's true. And it probably would be good. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So with any of these apocalypse things, like obviously hunting would be probably a good skill to have. That is not a skill that I do
screwed.
have. Not
just
that I
grow my
can't kill an
crops.
animal. That's not that hard to do. I just don't know exactly what I'd do with it afterwards.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You just eat it.
you can't just eat like a raw.
Oh,
I mean, I guess you could.
no, you're probably right.
You got an appendix. That's what that does, right?
That's what it used to do. Now it just kind of dangles there. An appendix
So you have to prepare
apocalypse.
for it. You'd have to like train yourself how to do hunting.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I might have to whittle myself a bow and some arrows.
I will say, out of the three of us, when it comes to weather apocalypse, it depends on what the weather apocalypse is. I'm assuming in this particular event, like multiple
different things, like
things would
everything's
happen
happening at once
at one time. Yeah, it wouldn't be like just a tornado that goes through Kansas somewhere, but it'd be like, plethora of tornadoes on top of a plethora of hurricanes, on top of a plethora of earthquakes, on top of a plethora of volcanic eruptions, on top of like
you can't really survive this, man.
Tsunami. I mean, it
would be difficult.
I think you could, but yeah, for sure, it would bring us into a new ice age for sure.
Yeah, certain parts of the
world. I don't
world.
know if our species would adapt well enough. Maybe.
I think it depends on what part of the apocalypse that you get hit by. I really think a lot of people, depending on where you are, like would get hit really bad, and then other people might not get hit so bad, and those would be the survivors. But it would definitely wreak havoc. Or I don't know that necessarily. I think the consequences of the weather apocalypse would be more detrimental. Like like crops are wrecked, or water's everywhere. Like people are now in a world that's like resources are less obtainable because the weather's destroyed them all. So I think although the weather itself would probably result in casualties, I think the ramifications of this it'd be long lasting.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, historically speaking, that's what happens.
Yeah, people get
hungry. Happened to dinosaurs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, after that big giant meteor, which is another apocalypse we could do, by the way. Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. It's like, as far as likelihood of occurring, I think that weather apocalypse is most likely. As far as likelihood of surviving,
surviving and occurring and surviving, because like David said, it has happened already.
Yeah.
And certain science may argue that we're on the road to go there again.
There's a lot more earthquakes nowadays than there used to be, or else people just are better at measuring them.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's always hurricanes ripping up some countries. So I don't know. It'd be if the whole world got destroyed at once by these natural weather disasters. It'd be hard to survive, even no matter which one hit you.
It's true. It's true. And if you get like a fire tornado or
With
an
sharks in it.
earthquake hurricane,
A fire sharknado, if you will.
A lot of these like storms will cause fires.
Yeah, for sure.
Thunderstorms.
Oh yeah, thunderstorm. Yeah, yeah.
So or lightning storms. Snow, when you get a huge snowstorm, if it's like day after tomorrow or whatever, like you can't escape that, man. If the
I think
snow comes up to the top of your door, you aren't getting out.
Unless you burrow like a
Unless you
little
go
mole
through
man.
the upstairs
Mole
window. So
man.
you just got to get out of your house soon before, like if a blizzard's coming, you got to get out of your house. But then where would you go? But yeah, if a tornado's coming, you're supposed to go down into the bottom of your house. So if you get a tornado to go down to the bottom of the house and then a blizzard at the same time where you can't get out of the house, then you're pretty much done.
Or an earthquake where everything falls on top of your house. Like, oof,
yeah,
or all three at one
when
time.
you're in the basement. Yeah.
I could be chilling here,
and then like Erie, for me, will all of a sudden get a tsunami coming out of it. I'll be in trouble. I think it'd be hard to survive this one, even if you're prepared. Depending on, would it be like you would get the weather disaster that whatever your area you live in is most prone to, or would it just be random? Like I wouldn't get a volcano here unless there's a volcano under the lake nobody knows about. But like, would I get tornadoes and blizzards here, and you guys would get whatever you get down there?
That's a good question. I was kind of thinking along those same lines too, because like, if it all happened at once, my assumption would be, kind of wherever you're at. So like, what you would normally get. So like you would get more tornadoes, Steve would get more hurricanes. In that respect, three of us, I'm most likely to survive on account that
earthquakes and Dust Bowl, bro.
Yeah, we don't really get any disasters here in El Paso except for like the extreme like dust storms and stuff. Although I will say because of that, it does snow here occasionally, and when it does, like people don't know.
Every time it snows down there, people think it's an apocalypse.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with that here, or rain. Like I had a police officer friend I used to talk to who he was like
flooding. That's true.
Yeah, well, no, we get flash flooding for sure. But every time it rains, he's like, when it starts raining, within 5 minutes, you'll start hearing sirens because people don't know how to handle like it's severe rain. And he's right; he's 100% right. Like when it starts raining, within 5 minutes, you'll start hearing like ambulances and stuff because people don't know what to do with rain here. Flash flooding is a problem. I forgot about that one. So flash flooding happens like in this area, like the Chuan Desert and stuff, is actually pretty frequent. A major flash flood would definitely wreak havoc on El Paso.
So you got to think the best place to survive. Sorry, Steve.
No, go ahead.
What place in the world is least prone to all natural weather disasters?
So I actually heard somewhere that as far as the United States goes, the state that you're least likely to suffer from a natural disaster in is actually Hawaii.
But
which doesn't make sense to me, but I've heard
all
that.
Of Hawaii just a big volcano?
Well, one of the islands is. The other ones aren't.
I would think something like.
Well, I mean,
Montana,
they're all volcanic islands, but
or
like
Wyoming's
active.
I think those would be safer, personally, but
like Wyoming,
no, Wyoming or Montana.
You got like blizzards and junk there.
The boring states
that get a lot of snow in those places.
That's true.
You know, in the West Coast, you're screwed. Like earthquakes, you fall off into the ocean.
All right, which state is safest from natural disasters? This thing, Google says Michigan.
Michigan? Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that. I would think because cold weather, you would have like a lot of cold weather issues there.
This is as shown by
Google like a Karen. But
Kevin's like, Hawaii's where I lived. Hawaii's awesome. It's safe from everything.
It could be Michigan.
I already said I don't know how true that is. It's just something that I heard.
There's a lot of lakes all around Michigan.
It doesn't make sense on the account that it's in the middle of the ocean and there's an active volcano there. But
this is according to current data. So like an apocalypse situation, Michigan probably would not be as safe. But like as far as like historically, how many? I mean, I don't know. I didn't read this article, but it seems like maybe I don't see Michigan in the news for natural stuff very often.
So it's just historically speaking, that's the place that's had the least amount
I mean, according to this 2-sentence thing I just read, I did not read the article. So I don't
Two
want to
sentences.
People
I
there
don't want
might
to say,
be
man,
just prepared.
your ability to obtain news is pretty strong. A little social
Maybe
media
that's
action
just
going
fake
on.
news that he just made up. He just thought of a random state. Also, Michigan.
It seems that guy who's on like Facebook and he sees that article. It's like, oh, 9 out of 10 people like make
Okay.
something completely made up.
Well, let's
Like-
think broader scale. Like besides the U.S., what other places in the world? Like would drought would count as a weather disaster
Yeah, no,
too,
for sure
right?
it would.
So Africa's out.
well, maybe the jungles part, maybe like Sahara, yeah, but like there's jungles in Africa too.
I guess that's true.
But then you got crazy animals and stuff.
What about Canada? If you're not way up north where the snow is really bad, but you're just kind of like
I still feel like in this particular situation it would be a cold weather thing going on
Snow.
there.
true, but like if you just go up like right above us, I guess they'd still be prone to maybe tornadoes and stuff. Like I'm not talking Northwest Territories, Alaska area. I'm talking just like the middle, like Canada's huge. If you go right in the middle of it, but kind of southern Canada, it does get cold. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really. I just am thinking because it's so big. Like I thought Russia too, but that whole place is a frozen tundra. Some of Canada is fairly warm.
I don't know if it's like random, like if you're in El Paso and you're suddenly having like a tsunami. I don't know how that would even happen, but
I guess nobody's safe if that kind of thing happens.
Yeah, so if we make the assumption that these weather conditions are abnormal to the region, then that's going to make problems like more. It's going to make things worse because obviously nobody in Florida is prepared for like a blizzard.
No, it's true.
So really, no one could survive this if it's just random weather events. No, I mean, if it's the one that your area is prone to, but it's just very severe, then you have a better chance of survival, I guess, but because you're used to it. But if it could just be, all of a sudden we get a volcanic eruption in the middle of Kansas, like there's no way no one can survive this kind of stuff.
The volcano that's been in Kansas this whole time that nobody knew about.
Like Kansas would be good with tornadoes. I mean, we've all seen Wizard of Oz, but if they had a volcano there, then
That's what you got to do, man. Actually, you got to live in Kansas, get yourself in a tornado, transport you to a different world. Then you're safe from the natural.
that's just unrealistic,
apocalypse.
dude. Whatever. This whole thing is plausible until you mention that.
So I just looked up safest country. Qatar has not had a natural disaster since 1900.
That's cool, and that sounds like
That means
guitar.
they're due for one, though.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know.
kidding.
Where is Qatar? I think it's in the Middle East somewhere, isn't it?
Isn't that in Africa?
I'm not sure.
No,
I mean,
no,
I'm bad at
it's,
geography.
it's not. I think it's in the. I think it's in like like Steven said. I think it's in like in the Middle East. I don't remember. I feel like
think-
it is. Why do I feel like I've been there? I haven't been
Maybe
there. Have I
you
been?
have.
No,
I
I
feel
haven't
like-
been there.
I think you're just thinking it sounds like a cool ninja weapon, and you like ninja weapons, so they think you've been in Qatar.
I don't like ninja weapons. I mean, a lot of ninja weapons are kind of pointless. That has nothing to do with the weather. But
They could if a tornado went into a dojo and all of a sudden samurai swords started flying around like in a
A
tornado.
sword
Slicing
tornado.
people up.
Swordnado.
That would be bad news.
That
You'd
would be bad
done.
news.
You'd be
Swordnado.
mincemeat, man.
With a bunch of shurikens. Is
You're
that
just,
what they're
you're like
called?
you're just like walking around. You're like, man, it looks like a tornado. Those are swords.
That you just get wrecked, and you would be destroyed, man. Like you'd be in pieces. That would be awful.
Or ninja stars or all those stuff. Shurikens, right? That's what they're called. Shurikens. Like that'd be like a fidget spinner with ninja star, like just slice people up.
That's
Swords.
So
awesome.
you never know.
Sword NATO. I love it, man. That sounds like a sweet move. Like I want to put that into a
That definitely is
thing
probably
someday.
that's definitely probably in Naruto or something. I don't know.
All right. So what we're doing if this happens, how are all of us meeting up in Qatar is what I need to know. Because aren't we in different
Oh, yeah.
places?
So
Well,
that's
I
a
mean,
good point.
I'll just go with Qatar just because for the narrative sense.
Yeah, I mean, I can go with that. Though we are talking about natural disasters. What about like unnatural ones? So what I mean is like, you guys ever heard like the like the molasses flood that happened like years and years ago, where a bunch of people got killed because like all this
Yeah, but
giant.
wouldn't that be easy to escape? Because molasses is so slow. That's an expression. Slow as molasses. So couldn't
I
you
don't
just
know,
walk away from
but
that?
would that be counted as
Here
weather?
comes the molasses. Ah!
Or honey. Oh, that'd be so
I'm gonna
gross,
stay here and
man.
wait it out.
Yeah, but if you did have molasses or honey, like a huge flood or whatever in like your hometown, like you couldn't get around for like a really long time. That'd be hard to clean up.
Yeah, but
That'd
you'd
be
have plenty
freaking
of.
gross.
Can't you eat molasses though?
I mean, you can't eat
You
like a
get-
whole
you get
a
some-
whole lake
See,
full of
big
it.
I'm gonna go get some breakfast.
And then the next apocalypse is the diabetes apocalypse.
Diabetes apocalypse. I mean,
Hypothetical.
quite honestly, that's probably like very likely could occur too.
That's occurring right before our eyes. What is this molasses flood though, man? Couldn't you get away from that?
I mean, if
I
you
don't know. I
happen
just know there was some
overnight,
sort of
you're
disaster
sleeping.
involved in molasses. I don't remember where it was at. You have to look it up. I'm not doing that right now.
Molasses. That's
But-
awesome.
Or like if you take it back to the Old Testament plagues, even like locusts and crap.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other.
I mean,
That's
if
a
you
whole
go to
nother
Cedar
apocalypse.
Point last month, there was thousands of mayflies everywhere. It looked like a mayfly.
Oh, gross! I would not want to ride roller coasters if that was the
So-
situation.
Went to the McDonald's after. You couldn't even see through the drive-through window, just covered in the things. So I think a lot of these natural disaster apocalyptic events would also involve things like that, like wildlife out of place or doing things they wouldn't do. So
Like
that would-
Sasquatches and like devouring an entire village.
Yes.
yeah.
Locusts.
Or like if like some kind of habitat, like a vampire bat colony got disturbed, then you'd have bats flying into your town, or like that Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds. Like
Oh yeah.
if the seagulls, Yoda knows about that, but if the seagulls like the weather gets flooded, tsunamis, or whatever, seagulls would be flying to get away from that crap.
And certainly, like
I appreciate the
certain-
bad lip reading reference there, Dave.
some animals might relocate or be relocated by a natural disaster. You have
You're
bears
right.
walking around the city, or like
Or
lions.
Sharknado, sharks going everywhere.
So we got a Sharknado going, we got a Spider-Nado going, a Sword-Nado going. We got all
Hurricane
varieties
Don't forget
of
about the sword.
tornadoes going.
Swordnado.
So, and then we got, of course, like floods going on, major flash floods going on everywhere. There's blizzards happening.
I don't see us
in
getting
Florida
through
now.
this one, dude. This should have been the last one because I don't see us getting through.
So last episode, it's because of the Northern Lights, the reverse engineering we did on the Northern Lights to get rid of the superpowers. Now we
should have kept
attracted
those, man. We need storm.
a regular weather patterns developed from the Northern Lights. So it started in Canada and it's spread throughout the globe. So you're
That's
actually
true.
in a very risky place right now, my man.
It's
So
too
you're
bad
like,
we didn't keep some people, like whoever the people who control the weather. Why didn't we let them keep their powers just to get us through this? Or do we not know this was happening?
Oh, we
There's
didn't
a-
know this was going to happen.
never know.
We
You
should
never
have
know.
foreseen it. As many apocalypses we've been through lately. We should
That's
have
true.
foreseen this. Let
And
storm
then-
stay. Do not take away her powers.
So we have this weather apocalypse taking place. Now, are we going with that? It's like random, or is it going to be like regional, like we were saying earlier?
I think
like
it starts off regional. Like obviously, hurricane starts off and David starts off in snow. You start off in dust bowls, and then it just kind of, as it kind of comes together, it culminates into just a big old nasty storm / earthquake / sword NATO.
Okay, so we got so David's up there in Canada,
I'm coming
shivering.
to Qatar now, dudes.
Yeah, he's shivering because it's cold, and like he's digging his way out of a giant like wall of snow, like a weird mole man. And then Steamway, you got like, wait, where are you now? Are
I
you
don't
still in
remember.
Florida?
I don't
Steven has a
remember.
lab coat on somewhere.
Yeah, he's got his lab coat. He still has his lab coat. It's all tarnished and torn, and there's a hurricane going on, so he can't really communicate with anybody. I'm
How
riding
you
my
gonna- how you
dinosaur
gonna-
with my tribe of people. We're not really in El Paso anymore, though. I think we left El Paso. We're just kind
Yeah.
of roaming freely through the country.
How do we get to Qatar, or should we go with Michigan?
Do
since
we
it's
want to
like-
go to Qatar, man? It's in the Middle East. There's lots of deserts there, no? I just looked it up. I
Let's,
guess
uh,
we would have.
I'm
we'd
fine
have to
with
go
that.
there.
I'm fine with that because my dinosaurs have adapted to the desert climate. So
Plus, it's all we can really do. That's all we can think right now is go to where the least amount of natural disasters
Go to
occur.
Qatar. When all else fails in life,
Yes.
go to Qatar. That's my motto.
It's right by. Did you guys look it up? It
No.
is in the Middle East. It's close to. It's right next to Saudi Arabia. Like
Oh,
Saudi Arabia has this big shape that looks like this, and Qatar looks like a little wart growing on top of it.
a little wart.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but you can't probably.
no, we
But
definitely
if you
cannot.
look
And
at
our
it,
listeners for sure can't.
it's close to the United Arab Emirates.
Oh yeah.
It's right
Okay.
across the Persian Gulf. There's a little thing that separates Bahrain and Qatar. Yeah,
I have
we
been to
could go
Bahrain.
there.
I haven't been in Qatar.
Hmm.
Anyway, so Steven's got like hurricanes going on with like alligators inside the hurricanes chomping on people. David's got like snowman like attacking him. There's
We'll laugh.
a big flash
Frozen.
flood. A big flash flood occurs where I'm at, and it wipes out a good number of my people. By the way, so I'm pretty upset about this
Now,
because
is the
it
ocean
took me a long time to get my tribe going. So
obviously though we can't travel by air when this is going on.
no,
You can't
I
really
don't know if we
travel
can.
by a boat.
I don't think we
because-
can make it to Qatar.
No, but what about has the top of the upper ocean, northern oceans, have they been hit bad enough by this that they're frozen over? Because we could cross on foot by
Yeah, that's what happened. It got so
But-
bad and frozen up north, and we got a group of people together. Like we've met up and we walked across Alaska. No, that's a long way. Somehow we traveled. I like
I
that
think
walking across the
Would
ocean.
it be closer to go across in this situation? Wouldn't it be better to go across the Atlantic and then just eventually walk across
I don't know if
Africa?
the whole
and get
Atlantic
straight
would
to
be. I don't think the whole
Huh?
Atlantic would be frozen.
How am I gonna?
Uh,
Well, I'm close to Alaska, but you guys aren't. How are we gonna walk all the way through the Bering Strait, all around the world, down all the way down to the Middle East?
Well, I
Wouldn't
mean,
the-
we
wouldn't
could
the
start that
Atlantic be
process.
quicker?
Doesn't necessarily mean we get there because we still got more apocalypse to go.
Yeah.
So I say David, like, he's like, hey man, I remember hearing Qatar was like a safe place from natural
Plus, I like
disasters.
guitars, and it rhymes with guitar.
Yeah. So David starts heading out west to cross the Bering Strait, and he of course he messaged Steven because you guys have been in contact.
Can
So
I have a
Steven's like,
minstrel in my group that plays his guitar while we walk to Qatar?
that's fine. You can
Absolutely.
do that.
What's his
I
name?
mean, like, sing about our
you
adventures.
did have music based superpowers earlier.
I'm gonna
So.
have him sing about our adventures.
What's
So-
your minstrel's name?
I don't know.
Make it rhyme with guitar and guitar.
Kesar?
Kesar.
I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about that one. But all I know is I have a minstrel that plays his guitar while we're going to Qatar. So,
So David's got that going.
I'm still kind of by myself. I'm a loner a little bit.
That's because you've caused all these problems, all this in some way or another. You're the cause of it. So you're in your lab coat, hanging out with your science buddies, who
Not by
at least the ones that are
by
still
myself,
willing to
man.
talk to you.
They don't like me anymore. I
Yeah.
caused all these problems.
I mean, I guess you probably have access to a boat, so you're like, I'll get on a boat.
tidal waves, dude, tsunamis. How's he gonna travel on a boat?
So he has access to a submarine. So he's gonna be like, all right, submarine. You find yourself a science submarine. You guys.
But
stocked
wouldn't
up
he
with
get frozen
supplies.
down there in the ocean if the ocean freezes while he's in the submarine?
I don't think the ocean would freeze.
We just talked about that's how we're getting to Qatar is because the ocean froze over.
No, like the Bering, like that little narrow stretch of land between Alaska and
Oh.
Russia.
Yeah,
That's
Dude, if it's
small
an
enough.
apocalyptic event, don't you think the ocean could freeze?
I don't think so.
Maybe
I mean,
like at
parts
least
of
the
it
first
would.
first mile
Like,
of it deep.
Not every part of it, but like probably little
Okay,
bits of
fine.
like I think where you're going right now, it makes sense because it's just a small area. There's a couple islands in between. There's
Okay.
water's not super
I
deep.
guess if we catch it early enough.
So
So you guys are in process. You're traveling. I don't even know what's going on because I got my dino riders with me. We're just sort of going around doing our thing. We're pretty savage at this point, so I don't think there's a bit of like normal intelligence in my group anymore. But a bunch of them died from flash floods. So I'm like, I take my people. I'm like, we got to move out of these flash floods. So I start traveling up north towards the Bering Strait myself, without really thinking much about it.
So here's what happens. I'm in my submarine, my heat my submarine has heat powers for some reason, and it could go through frozen. So anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going across the ocean
Wow, that's
to
pretty cool.
Qatar, but I want to send a signal out to my brothers, like, hey, this is what
Did
I'm
you
doing.
bring the drum snowman? Because
Yeah, of course, I brought the drum snowman.
Okay, all right. I'll stop
I'm sent-
distracting you. Go ahead.
No, he's in there. He's in there with me. He's drum, Mr. Drum. So I put out a signal to let my brothers know, hey, I'm gonna meet you guys in Qatar. I found a way to reach you, Kevin, with my signal. Let's say you have a ham radio. I'm able to tap into
I don't
that
have a
signal.
ham radio though. I just have dinosaurs.
Yeah, but you probably have lots of ham though.
Dinosaur
Sure.
ham, maybe.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm sending a signal out to you, and when I send my signal to let you know where I'm going, my signal transcends into space, and the weather gets better.
Why are you always messing with us, man? I'm trying to survive. Now you're sending.
So you're
people
sending
to
out radio
space.
signal.
This is probably where the aliens are coming in. Yeah.
So you're like, hey, I'm going to Qatar. David's like, is like, hey, yeah, me too, man. And I'm less like, I don't really
Listen
know
to
what's
this
going
funky
on.
jam I
But
got playing in the background.
yeah, one of my tribesmen is like, I just heard on this weird radio device somebody saying they were going to Qatar. I was like, all right, let's do that. I don't know how to get there, but let's go. So you send this really super powerful signal from your submarine,
Yes.
and a spaceship up in space from another world happens to be flying by, and then they receive this signal. So this alien's like, hey man, there's like people on this planet down there, and they obviously have technology to send signals. So maybe we should get some more
We need all of
resources
them?
going. So he calls his alien buddies, and then that's our next apocalypse, alien apocalypse.
So they have to end the other one. So they're like, in order to really take advantage of these resources, let's fix the weather for
Dude,
them.
wait a second. Stop. I'm sorry. I have to stop this for you. You cause all this. You obviously have wonderful technological abilities. If you have a submarine that is so hot it can float through ice and
How
has
are
a
you-
broadcasting
know-
system that can go all the way up into space. So you're causing all these things, but obviously you have the technology to know how to fix everything. But instead, you just I don't understand what your problem is.
Wait, I
The
think the
best I
bigger
can do is
question
a
is,
minstrel that plays for me while we go on this journey on foot, and you guys are in this fancy submarine that can contact aliens and cut through ice. I don't understand.
I think the bigger question is, Steven, do you know how to pilot a submarine?
Okay, I have a
Seriously.
couple friends. That
Couple
help me.
submariners.
Some of my patients at the VA are old Navy guys, and they agreed to help me out.
And why do we keep agreeing to meeting up with Steven anyways, if he's the one causing all these apocalyptic events?
I haven't agreed up to me with anybody. I haven't even been in contact.
Well,
with
you're
you
all
guys.
savage now. You don't even have any.
I've got my
you
I
probably
got my
don't even remember how to
loincloth on.
speak English at this point.
I've got my
Everything
loincloth
Run
on.
to your people.
I'm riding my dinosaur.
That's how I'm trying to go.
Everything I've done is for the betterment. I'm
You
trying.
carry
My
a club
goal.
around like
Everything he
like a
does made
sass-
it
like a
worse.
caveman.
But my intentions are good. Just I want to fix things, and I just keep making it worse. To be
All right,
fair,
anyways.
the one David helped me out with the Northern Lights, and then Jaren helped me out a little bit with the weather. So it's not all me; it's mostly me.
Okay. All right. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
So the aliens come. They're like, they fix the weather for everybody. They're like, we can't really utilize. And at first, there are maybe some in your tribe or some religious cult people who see the aliens. They're like, they saved us, and they are like, they see the aliens as like a sacred, like godlike.
Oh no, people in my
presence.
tribe for sure are going to do that.
So like,
But
now
I
there's
don't want them
people like,
worshiping anybody other than me, so I'm going to execute those that do that.
so that people are kind of, there's a weird thing now. The aliens haven't attacked yet, but these people came from space and saved us allegedly. And then some people are like, wow, these are our saviors. We need to, like, this is awesome. And that's kind of where I think it will lead into the other one. I like this. That's pretty cool.
So really, the aliens saved us, but they had ulterior motives, is what you're saying?
Yeah, because they don't want the world destroyed by all this weather. They want to like
They
get
want
rid
our
of them.
resources, but
Yeah,
what are
Yeah,
they going to
they
do?
use some sort of alien
What are they going to
technology.
do with us, though?
Well,
That's the
obviously
great
they're going to
question.
murder us. That's what aliens do. Everybody
I'm
knows
just
that.
saying not everyone realizes that yet. We realize that because we're creating this narrative, but not everyone around us realizes that.
So I'm gonna
All I
say,
know
for the
is-
sake of, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You can go.
At this point, Kevin, where are we at? So when we start the next one, we'll know kind of, okay, my submarine made it across. I'm gonna say I'm like in India. That's where I landed.
You're in India? All right.
I'm trying to make my way to Qatar, but now
So you're in India. David's probably in Russia.
I'm
at this
crossing the
point.
Siberian tundra.
I don't
'Cause
think
you
I've
guys
even
made me
made
go
it.
through Russia instead of going through the Atlantic.
I don't think
So-
I've even made it there. I'm still in the States.
I might be in China right now. I don't know.
So Kevin, you're maybe you're up north. You're kind of near where David was, perhaps, like in the north,
Maybe.
the northern part of this country or the continent.
How are your dinosaurs going to
That's-
survive up there, though? Man?
Yeah, I'm saying it's gonna be cold for my dinosaurs in my loincloth, though.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
Well-
we're heading to Qatar. Steven's going to India. I'm going through Asia. I'm either in
But now-
Russia or China right now. I'm
now
getting
the
close
weather
to Steven if I'm
apocalypse-
in China.
Yeah, we're closer now. Now that the weather apocalypse is no longer a threat, though, I'm like, why am I in India now? But
I mean, curry, obviously.
yeah, for sure. But that's where we're at. This was fun. I love it. So aliens next.
All right. Sounds good.
Any final points on the weather apocalypse before we close out? Just generally.
Honestly, I think that our apocalypse so far, I think in overall, when we're done with this whole thing, I think that's probably the most realistic one to happen.
Probably. Yeah.
It's realistic if like it's a weather event that's standard for that region of the earth. Like I don't think it's realistic for a volcano to come up in Kansas, but overall, like there's every part of the planet has some kind of weather event that could be apocalyptic. So yeah, I think this is the most realistic of possibly happening. Plus, weather events have happened in the history of our world, anyways, history of our planet. So,
And one thing I learned, I think is relevant, is that the sword NATO is a real threat, and we need to be prepared.
And it's
that's true. I was worried about Sharknado, but Sword NATO, that could be a bad thing. You're right. You can't
All right,
really
folks.
defend against that unless you already have a bunch of armor on or something.
Even that
Actually,
would be.
Steven's submarine probably could take care of it.
Got a submarine, dudes. Freaking
But my
submarine. That's
minstrel
awesome.
my minstrel would turn into mincemeat.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
He'd be all jamming out, the slice everywhere. That'd be
Kind of like his name being Brian. Actually, I've changed my mind.
okay. Sure.
Brian, the minstrel.
Right, I need him to get me through this long journey.
All right, dudes. Well, this is fun. We'll catch you guys next time on the Brothers Born podcast.
All right, sounds good.
Hey, everybody! Thanks for listening to the Brothers Born podcast. The three of us reunited to discuss the weather apocalypse. Another episode in our apocalypse series. None of us are qualified meteorologists, so probably some inaccuracies there, but we had fun, and that's what matters, and I hope you had fun too. All right, coming down the pipeline, we got an alien apocalypse, among other things. If there's any specific other types of apocalypses you want us to discuss, email us at brothersbornpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/brothersbornpodcast. And please tell your friends about our incredible show. All right, folks, take care of yourselves.
an appendix apocalypse.